I've been on YouTube since 2019, but after years of trying, 2025, I was finally consistent. I had trouble getting over the hump of no growth and losing motivation. So in this video, I'm reflecting on what changed in 2025 and what I learned. Hey friends, I'm Brea, and today we're going to reflect on 5 categories that cover my past year of consistency on BookTube. And I feel like the most important thing for us to start with is the why. Why did I want to choose this year to be consistent on BookTube? As I mentioned in the intro, I've technically had my channel since 2019, but I have been so inconsistent with it. There'd be some months where I would, post a couple videos a month and then you wouldn't hear from me again for like 6 months. And I feel like it was just a reoccurring theme in my life in general, where I'd start projects, I have these creative ideas and these ambitions, and then I wouldn't see them through all the way. But BookTube was like the one creative outlet that, even though it was sporadic, it was something that I continued to come back to. So I actually wanted to focus on it this year and see if it was something that I could find my way over the hump on, right? Because I feel like sometimes people get into these like creative slumps, or you don't see growth or engagement the way that you're hoping. And so you're like, nobody actually wants to listen to me. This is interesting. I shouldn't do this anymore. And a lot of self-doubt starts to creep in. And so I really just wanted to prove to myself that I could get past that hump. So when it came to my goals for the entire year, not just BookTube related, I wanted to make sure I was focusing on building a habit and not just a goal that I could reach and then forget about. And so if you have been on this channel a little while, I have mentioned before that my goal setting activity this year was like patches and pins. Like the inner Girl Scout in me is always gonna be there, okay? And so I actually created a patch that was gonna help me be consistent on BookTube, and I hit it, y'all. And so this patch was called Camera Consistency. Post 3 YouTube videos a week for 3 months straight. And I chose that because that meant that I was actually gonna have to stick with this, but it also meant that, say I hit January and February, something happened in March, I could always try and still hit that goal in October, November, and December. So I was able to hit that goal actually in the first 3 months of the year, but because I kind of had that momentum, it was easy for me to keep going. So this is my little patch. It's a little owl with the camera. So I'm so excited that I officially earned that. And I mentioned that kind of going back to the habits because it's a myth that you build a habit in 21 days, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I actually stuck with it longer than, a month or 2 to make sure that that habit was actually sticking and that I was forming some discipline around how much I was reading, when I was reading, filming, sitting in front of this camera, editing, and just making sure I had time for all of that. And so the discipline part was the big piece of it for me, and I'm just so happy that I accomplished that. And so from there, it was time to think about how I was going to actually be consistent, because you have to have a plan. So that brings us into category number 2, which is time management and learning. And so first, let's talk about time management. My time management isn't great. I have a very full social life. I work a 9 to 5, so I had to figure out how I was actually going to stick with being consistent and posting once a week. And so I wanted to make sure that I had something that was realistic and flexible, which is why I chose posting once a week. However, I'm gonna be honest, because we're friends here, okay? I did not hit that once a week, which I feel like I kind of knew that I wasn't going to hit, which is why I originally in my goal said 3 times a month instead of 4. But I still struggled with that. And I feel like there were still times after I hit that 3-month consistency window that I didn't even post once within 2 weeks. There were some times that it kind of slipped. So want to be honest there, that when I say consistency, it's me sticking through with posting videos the best I can for the entire year. And y'all, I am a slow reader, okay? I really wish I was one of those booktubers or readers that could read like 10 books a month. But because again, I like to go out with friends, I have a 9 to 5, I like to watch TV, I had to learn that reading vlogs every week probably weren't gonna be my jam unless it was one book in that reading vlog, which I don't love doing. And so I had to come up with other ideas for sit down videos. But I also learned that I needed to batch those because I would sit down and film one video, edit it, post it, and then I would sit there and be like, I don't know what I'm posting for the next week, and I don't have enough time to read 3 books in a week, so now I have to come up with another sit down video, film it, and that just didn't work for me. And I feel like that's something I'm kind of just now learning as I'm reflecting on this year. So that's something that I'll talk about a little bit at the end of the video, is like what I want to improve on and what I want to focus on in 2026. But batching content is definitely one of those ones that I feel like I'll need to do. Also, something that I feel like I didn't really account for in my time management this year, but I still wanted to focus on, was learning. You know, for some people, YouTube is an actual job. And so there are things that go into algorithms and getting people to click and catching people's attention and making sure people are watching the video all the way through. And I feel like that was important for me to learn about if I wanted to stay consistent and actually see some growth on YouTube. And some weeks I would spend an hour to like 3 hours just watching other creators' YouTube videos, whether it was just regular booktubers to see what type of ideas and how they structured their content, or like actually going out there and looking at YouTubers that teach YouTubers how to YouTube. And because there are certain things about like thumbnails and like the intros that have been proven to work for people. And so I feel like I'm a learner at heart. I love learning things, and that learning process is something that helped me stay consistent because I wanted to apply what I was actually learning. But that learning also then led to category number 3 we're going to talk about, which is my viral video. And we're also going to talk about creativity and experimentation. I feel like some of you guys that may be currently subscribed to me, probably a good chunk, which I'll get to also in a later part of this video, you guys found me from Reading Without the Influence of the Internet video that I made. I feel like there are a few things that made that video really successful for me. I think number 1 is going to be the thumbnail. I put together this video right after I decided I wanted to start looking into and researching and learning on YouTube. And the biggest thing I knew that I was having issues with was my thumbnails, which I still have issues with today, okay? I'm trying to figure out what's working for me, but I think this one worked because 1, it was clear. Even without reading the title of the video, you knew what the video was about, or you could kind of guess, because I said no internet on there. All the social media was kind of like X'd out, and I'm holding books in my hand. Second thing I'll say is I formatted the intro a little differently than what I had done in the past. I feel like that intro grabbed people. It told people what the video was going to be about very quickly and kind of my frame of mind going into it. And I focused a little less on me and just like my camera and sitting kind of like this. I wanted to grab people's attention because I knew at that point a lot of people didn't know who I was. My face and kind of my personality may not be what grabs them in the first 30 seconds. So I wanted to format my intro a little differently. And then I'll say the third and probably the most important thing that I think made that video successful was the idea. So I think we're just kind of in a time where like the internet and AI is just a big conversation for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And I wanted to personally find a way to disconnect. I created that video mostly for me, if I'm being honest, because it was something that I wanted to see and that I wanted to experience. And I also feel like it was an original idea to me based on what I saw on the internet. I hadn't seen anybody else do that idea. I hadn't seen anybody kind of talk about that idea. That idea was straight from the noggin. But I feel like that gave me hope that original content can work if done right and if there's like a curiosity or like a need for a video like that. And so that really got my momentum going when it came to like what other videos I want to put out there. And so I'm going to tell you guys right now, for 2026, I have some really good ideas. I have like 3 or 4 that are slightly unhinged, but I'm so excited to film them. And I realize when I'm excited to film a video, those are usually like the best filmed and like structured videos that I put out. So I'm super excited for those, but it really just speaks to like creativity can work on YouTube. Unique ideas can work on YouTube. And there's also a method that I decided to kind of think of as I was creating ideas this year. And that was like this 80-20 rule in my head, which was 80% post what I want to post and post videos that I would want to watch, and then the other 20% is going to be strictly for the algorithm, right? Because to be honest, I typically don't watch many book hauls, but I know for the algorithm a lot of people like watching that, right? I typically don't watch a lot of like monthly and like reading wrap-ups from other people, but again, I know that's something that's good for the algorithm. So I tried to combine that the best that I could, but mostly focus on things I wanted to post and that I was excited to film, because that was gonna be the only way that I was gonna be excited and stay consistent. All right, and that leads us to category number 4, community and growth. And this is an interesting category because there's a lot of things I don't think I would have learned if it wasn't for that viral video. So I know some of you may have clicked on this video hoping to see like a different subscriber count or, you know, some numbers related things. So let's get into that for a second before I kind of dig a little deeper into some other things I've learned. So I started this year with almost 1,800 subscribers. I currently, as I'm filming this video, which we're like in mid-November as I'm filming this video, I'm around 4,300 subscribers. So that means within the past like 11 months, 10 or 11 months, I have gained 2,500 subscribers roughly. And about 1,000 of those are directly from that viral video that I had. I'm sure there's probably a little bit more, but that's just kind of how YouTube attributes things. And I also learned that some people who subscribe, they'll become like super duper loyal watchers, and I love that, which I'll get to in a second. But then there's also people who may subscribe but then may not watch every single video because they may be expecting a different type of content from you, right? And I will say I appreciate the new people that found me from that video, and I have seen y'all in the comments like ever since. Literally, it feels so good to like actually build a community over here, and that's really one of the whole reasons of creating like a YouTube channel. I think sometimes when people start YouTube channels, their goal is to be like a famous influencer and make all this money and whatever. But I think for me, I just genuinely love reading and I love connecting with other people who read. And so kind of keeping that in the forefront of my mind, building this community and seeing everybody in the comments, just, it makes my little heart happy, okay? And it also is a super motivating thing when I am struggling to be consistent, because I know that there's a few of you guys that are always going to comment and that you guys notice when I don't post. And that really just helps, you know, keep me going when I need a little push. But also it keeps me going when I post a video that has 42,000 views, right? Or however many it has. And then I post another video and it gets like 500 views. And so obviously that makes you feel a certain way. But then again, it's like the same people that are in the comments and I'm like, okay, I'm not just speaking to nobody out there. However, I feel like it still wasn't lost on me that before that viral video, 500 views would have been like my #1 video. Because YouTube Creator Studio, it will rank your videos within like the first hour or two of you posting to tell you how well it's doing, right? So 1 out of 10 means this video is a banger immediately. 10 out of 10 means, wow, this kind of sucks, right? And so I was looking at one of my videos that I posted recently, which I didn't expect to get many views, but it had around 400 views, and YouTube was like, boo, 10 out of 10. But I was like, you know what? Going back and looking at like my first couple of months on YouTube, that 10 out of 10 performance would have literally been my 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 performance just a few months ago. And so that viral video and some of my other videos after that definitely started to skew what YouTube gave me for like analytics and stuff. So I really just kind of went back to that mind frame and was still grateful for those 400 views. Okay, that isn't lost on me. Like, I think about talking to a crowd of 400 people, and that's a lot of people. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that I try to comment back on like every single person's comment. If you go back to any of my other videos and you comment, I want you to know that like I'm reading it and I'm doing my best to reply in a timely manner, because you took the time out to not only watch my video, but watch it to the end and then leave a comment most of the time. And so you put that time into me, and I definitely want to give you that time back and reply to the comment. And that's just something that's important to me. And I hope that no matter how big I get, that I can still stick to at least replying to most comments. I mean, for right now, I'm very small, so all of y'all getting a response. One other thing I will say about growth is that this viral video is what allowed me to be monetized on YouTube. That is such a hard thing to do as a small creator. And because so many people were watching it, I finally got the watch time hours to be monetized. Listen, I still gotta keep my day job. I don't even make enough to be like a part-time worker at this point. So it's nothing insane, but I'm definitely glad that like I'm making, you know, a little pocket change here and there, okay? It's funding me being able to get more books, we'll say that. But when it comes to community, another thing I wanted to highlight was just interacting with other creators. And there's a few small creators that like I'm locked in with now. I feel like we've had similar journeys. We're all trying to grow. One I'll highlight is Julie. And she, I think at the top of the year, mentioned me in one of her like booktuber recommendation videos, and ever since I was like, you know, she's a small booktuber and I'd want somebody to kind of support me. And I also just really enjoy her content. I think she talks about books very in depth and in a way that like I personally don't or can't. I just don't have the capacity. She's a very smart person, and so I really enjoy listening to her book reviews. But like, for example, she recently had a video that went viral and I was like, Julie. It's like nice to see other people grow and to see other people succeed, even if you've only built a relationship with them via like YouTube comments. And then I'll also say there are some big booktubers out there that try their best to like uplift smaller creators. And so I've had some of the bigger booktubers comment on some of my videos recently. I think a lot of that is Kayla from Books and Lala. You are my girl for real. Me and Kayla have been like internet friends for a little while, and she's mentioned me in a few videos, and I was actually able to be on one of her live shows this year. I've had Gavin comment on a video. I've had Gabby comment on a video. Also Meg. So like these are people that I watch as like a viewer of BookTube, and so to have them comment on my videos as a creator just really meant a lot to me. And so I think it's important, no matter what, as a creator to like interact with everybody else that's creating, because they're really going to be some of the only people that can kind of understand what you're going through, especially creators in your niche. Okay, and then category number 5, let's just talk about my 2026 goals and just some like additional things that I've been thinking about. And so I mentioned this earlier, but batching content. I have got to do better at that if I want to actually stay consistent on a one video a week schedule in 2026. And I think I just need a better workflow in general, if I'm being honest. When you guys are seeing this, I've already posted my like Bookmas calendar video, and that video, while it was probably chaotic to you, worked for me. Okay, so I think I'm gonna need to do that like a month and a half in advance for each month for me to actually stay consistent on like a one video a week posting schedule. But I'm glad I know that now. It took me the full year to get here, but we're here now. The next thing is brainstorming. So like I said, I have a few unique ideas that I have prepped for 2026, but that's not gonna get me all the way through the year. And I do like the feeling of being creative, of having an idea that maybe nobody else has done, but that people would wanna watch. And I feel like not every idea is gonna be a good idea or an idea that I should post, but I wanna spend 10 minutes, 3 days a week, just brainstorming video ideas. Because I feel like out of that, 1 or 2 of them a day will probably be a decent idea for me to expand on. So I'm looking forward to that and something I definitely want to continue with. And another thing, kind of going back into learning, I want to learn how to use Final Cut Pro. Currently, I edit all of my videos using Canva and iMovie. And so some of like the effects with like things on the screen, I have to like create them in Canva and then like layered on top of iMovie, and it's making my workflow a lot longer than I think it needs to be. And while Final Cut Pro I know is kind of intricate to learn, I feel like once I learn it, it will help me, one, be faster in editing videos, but two, having more ability to do other effects and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think it'll level up my videos a little bit more. But I'll also say I kind of love that I'm still a small channel, because that means I can still experiment. If something flops, my feelings really aren't hurt, okay? And if it flops, it's really not impacting my channel that much, because I'm still what I consider a small creator. And so if you're watching this and you're a small creator or you're a big creator, like, I still just implore you to experiment. I feel like it's spooky hours out there in the world. So I feel like the internet, people use it kind of as a safe space or ways to learn, or ways just to experience different ways of thinking. And so if you have an idea, put it out there, experiment. I love when I see people do unique ideas. And overall, I feel like this year with my consistency, while I haven't gained 1 million subscribers or 10,000 subscribers, I feel like I've built a lot of momentum, and that's important to me. And the fact that I owed it to myself to try and be consistent this year, and I did that, I am beyond proud of myself. Like, truly, truly I am. And if you are new here, whether this is your first video, whether you have been rocking with me since 2019, or you found me during the viral video sensation, I am just so happy that you're here. This community definitely means so much to me. You guys always just keep a smile on my face, and this year has been one that I will never forget as long as I have this channel. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And if you made it to the end of this video, leave a time emoji, because we're talking about a year of consistency here, okay? And let me know down below, like, were there any goals this year that you hit, or ones that you maybe didn't hit but maybe want to change going into 2026? And as always, if you made it to the end of this video, you are my absolute favorite, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.